I think here are things that you cannot find other people to do in certain things.
Yeah, in quite a few. I think when you go into the details of sales or things that you really know, or the product in your case, yeah, what can you outsource? I mean, you still need to make the decision. You don't want to create a situation where everyone is waiting, and you need to identify it and go deep quick if the situation requires it. But yeah, so that's kind of like an art, I guess, till you're much bigger. But yeah, 100% agree with you. It's not possible all the time.
One more thing that you mentioned before, I think was very smart, and that was the resilience that you had built already in former years is something that you now can swallow now in our career, right? Because when you, for example, for me, when I was bullied so often and when I did fail a class, and I remember this one is one of the most defining moments for me. I was standing in front of a mirror in high school. I could tell you precisely what mirror it was after I failed the math exam. And I was looking into my own eyes, and now I'm almost starting to cry. Looking at it like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I am one of the, if not in my year, math Olympics wise, the best person on math in Austria. And I have just failed the math exam and I have to repeat the class. Like, what is going on? And I have this so clear in front of my head. This was such a defining moment to really say, and now grab myself by the, and let's go. Like, this can never happen again. The problem is I realized this 2 days too late. Because if I had this 2 days before, I would have obviously made the exam. But I didn't study shit. So 2 days too late, literally the moment after this, I went to the mirror in the bathroom in the high school and I was like, what just happened? Is this real? This is not a dream. Is this real? This really hurts.
Yeah, sometimes timing is everything. I'm so sorry for that. Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, on the other hand, I don't know where I would be otherwise, because perhaps I would have finished high school with 17 or 17 because I did the 5 years. On the 4 years, I would have finished with 16. And then what? Like, everyone would have seen the super smart kid probably going to a very illustrious university, going on all the, they call it like IQ scholarships and whatever from Harvard and Oxford. And then what? Then I do physics, and then I do chemistry, and then I do math. I don't know if I would have ever founded companies. I don't know. And so then I would have been much more spoiled. On this way, I really had to take the hard path to study myself Spanish and biology and religion and music, all the things that I didn't do in my technical high school, which was like architecture and stuff. And that really taught me. And
because it was so hard.
Because it was so hard. And now being rejected by VCs or by angels, or even when talent leaves, like fluctuation on the team, which happens regularly, obviously. I mean, now I'm having a team of 14, and let's say every quarter there is a person leaving and a new one that I have to hire. But this is okay. It's part of the game, and other people would suffer from this a lot. But I'm okay because it's normal, because I'm used to this. It feels hard, but it doesn't feel unbeatable.
Yeah,
and
I know what you
because
mean.
I had so much pain before already.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, to me, I always think the week cannot get any harder. So sometimes by the end of the week, I'm laughing. It's like, oh man, feels this week cannot get any harder. This is like ridiculous. Yeah. 2 weeks later, I mean, boom, the same thing. It's like it's building up.
To me, the same. I came back from vacations. I told everyone, look, I have 5-6 weeks. Now the team is stable, blah, blah. I come back day after, one of my 2 most important employees quits. And I was like, see, I predicted it. Like, I now have 5-6 weeks because the team is now stable. And then the day after she quits. So boom. It was really perfect timing, but it was okay. Better than 6 weeks before.
To me, it was really the timing thing. I mean, I told you that already. So, my partner and I, ex-partner, we split up after 3.5 years. So we were together. She moved here with me from Australia. And I always said, like, we're going to have kids, or that was like the plan to create a family. But obviously then it was when we are settled, and she didn't want to find a job immediately because it was a big move, blah, blah. And then kind of the timelines shifted for the family planning, but more, we never talked about it. I mean, we did. She was like, oh, are you ready? And then at some point it was like, I don't know what to tell you. So having a kid is a 3.5. My business is 7, but it's increasing, and 3.5 is actually great. And she looked at me and was like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, great, 3.5 is amazing. And then 1 month later, she broke up with me. I was like, look, reflected, and I was like, hey, actually, I want kids, and you're right about it. And I didn't know, He's like, sorry, it's too late. I don't want to be anymore. And she left. And now she is in Vietnam and then in Sydney and I don't know where. And we're never going to be together again. It's gone. It's like fucking crazy. And it's literally about, I think, 2 weeks of timing, like not 2 days. Obviously, I think it's 2 weeks of timing. And yeah, it's just insane. It's just really insane.
It's not true because you wouldn't have thought about, just like in my case, you wouldn't have thought about this kid's story 2 weeks earlier or later. Just like I would have not had the switch without.
Yeah, I didn't have the switch.
Time.
I think this event had to happen for me to change.
Right.
And
to grow.
To grow. Yeah, that's kind of the reality, I guess. Yeah, that's probably very true. But yeah, it is what it is. So now
to maybe finish on a more positive note.
Positive? I think it's very positive. Yeah,
growth actually indeed is. We quickly also want to discuss about the Austrian startup system.
Actually, we didn't have enough time and you need to go. So actually in Austria, what do you find good and where are opportunities for the startup system?
We have sick universities and everyone can go there. In other countries where the best startups are, universities are often privatized. It's spoiled brats who think the world needs another app, but building it for top 1% or maybe top 5, top 10% where all their friends are. And given that Austria is, of course, a very privileged place, but it is quite affordable. Talent is great, but talent is quite affordable. Developers are not so expensive.
So what's the problem then? Why there are not more unicorns?
Because genius is not here. Genius leaves. The very best people for which you need unicorns. I'm not saying startups of like 10 million valuation, whatever. We have hundreds of people who can build it. But the true unicorns, these people either leave or because we have quite cool, larger companies, international companies in which you can do careers, they would hire you before you come up with the idea to found. And one thing often happens in Austria compared to other countries. In other countries, senior founders, such as like 30, 35, 40-year-olds who have already been to other companies before, like 5 or 10 years, they start founding companies. I don't know many startup founders above the age 30.
Maybe like me?
What?
Like me, I'm 35.
Yeah, and exactly this is what we need more of. You have experience from Canva, from Meta. This is something that hardly anyone has. Most startup founders in Austria come out of university. And that's okay, just like me, because I could have never been employed. But still, I am a continuous founder. Even if Jiren fails, I'll build a new thing. And that thing is, of course, much more likely to be a unicorn than my first one.
What's the reason for that? That
people be more successful?
No, that older people don't found in Austria.
It's cozy because we have a great life here because we have, and I mean, I'm also more left-leaning because I believe people should do whatever they want, but it's just not necessary to have. We don't crave for the status. We don't crave for...
So it's a productivity problem, right? So I think people are...
Like in the co-working space, I built the number one startup co-working space in Austria, and you would wonder how few people are there after 6 p.m. You would wonder. Maybe after 7 p.m. Few founders, maybe like 5 people after 8, 2 people after 10.
What would solve it? What would solve it?
I believe community. If you see other people who go through that pain, if you see 10 other people hustling here longer than 8 to 10, and I believe it's necessary, not always, but in most of the weeks, you will need to work on through your genius 60 to 80 hours a week. It will get you farther than if you work 45 or 50 hours a week.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I agree with it. I think also working on weekends is quite normal for me. I mean, I'm now dialing it down a bit because obviously this thing is a hard time for me.
Story.
But yeah, you have to work on weekends. You have to think at least on weekends about things like, but obviously I'm working effectively in the office like